Julie, thank you so much for joining us on the program today. It's always good talking with you.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, we know that Halloween is really, in terms of shopping season, it's just around the corner, right? I mean, we've had the Halloween candy out for several weeks now. The pop-up Halloween stores have popped up so we can all buy our costumes. And you write about shall we say, rather inappropriate Halloween costumes that seem to just be getting younger and younger as the years go on.
That's right. I wrote a piece for the New York Post this week, really shocked by what I saw while I was researching this piece. I saw in the news that a mom, sort of an outraged mom, who had been shopping for her 3-year-old daughter, I think she was 3 or 4, was really upset when she came across in a website called Party City some of the options for her young daughter. And she specifically talked about the career choices. So, you go on one of these websites and it says, choose between a boy and girl costume, and then you can further, select down until you're looking at a very narrow group of costumes. So she chose career. And so I looked at it too, and I was really shocked with what they considered careers for girls. The girls could choose from being a waitress, a boxer. They had 2 sort of what I would consider more career fields, which was doctor and police officer. But the police officer, the doctor's costume was just scrubs, but the police officer really looked more like the police officer was going undercover as a prostitute. So, it went so far as to suggest when you select these costumes at the bottom, it'll say, we suggest you add to your costume. and for the policewoman costume, they suggested that you add go-go boots to complete the look.
Which, of course, as we know, is standard uniform for every law enforcement officer.
Undercover in a topless bar. So, look, I get it, but this thing came with fingerless gloves and a sort of sexy belt with handcuffs.
Are we sure that this just wasn't a misclick and it was actually a Madonna costume? Are we sure?
That's right. And what's so funny is that the one that I was looking at was for tweens, but it helpfully offered parents that particular racy costume, that exact racy costume, was available in toddler sizes. So, look, there's no doubt. And then when you looked at the boys' career, so I went over and I clicked over on the boys' career section, 27 choices. 27 choices. So girls, it was like 6 choices, and some of those were doubles. So like there were 2 waitress and 2 police officers, but for the boys, there were 27 options. So, clearly they don't think girls should be having careers.
Or at least dressing up for Halloween.
Right.
I'm not so sure I'm willing to say that this is some sort of weird corporatist message from Party City that girls shouldn't have careers, but it is, so did you explore any more? Because as the father of a 10-year-old girl who is not interested in being sexy anything for Halloween, it's, I won't say it's impossible. It's not impossible to find a costume that works, but as she gets older, like, it's becoming harder and harder, and the eye rolling and the exasperated sighs become more and more frequent every time we try to look for a costume for her.
Yeah, well, look, you're absolutely right that, there are some choices in the toddler sizes. There are also some inappropriate things that are being manufactured, which just shocks me. But you're right, there's more choices. As they get older into their tweens and teens, for heaven's sake, lock up your girls. It is just a nightmare out there. There is just very little. Everything is sexualized. So a kitty cat is then sexualized. They had this one that was Robin Hood. I guess a girl could dress up as Robin Hood. And it was like it didn't come with pants. It was such a short skirt. It looked like a shirt. And so I think moms are frustrated with this. Look, I will say, too, in defense of these companies, they are simply producing and selling selling what is being bought. There is a market for this. And so, my advice in the column was, look, stop buying this stuff. I don't care if you buy it and you say you're going to alter it or you're going to put it with a longer skirt or you're going to make them leave the fingerless gloves at home. I mean, I don't care what just don't buy them. And you can I have no time or patience to make costumes for my kids, but you can sort of piece together a costume or, try to buy things, create the demand for the more appropriate costumes. Certainly do not buy the ones that are suggestive. It creates a market, and it tells businesses that this is what people want.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, and it is, I realize this also, okay, so, and it may be in some cases that this actually is what your child wants, right? So you also have to be able to, I mean, you also have to be able to tell your child, and thankfully I don't have to deal with this at this point, knock on wood here. You have to be able to say to your child, no, that's not appropriate for you.
You're so right. It's a point I did not make in the piece, but you're right. I mean, it's natural for girls and boys to rebel against their parents, and particularly with girls, especially in our culture today, to sort of push the limits on what's appropriate dress. So it is up to parents to set those standards and to say no to certain costumes.
And I would say with boys, it's less likely that it's going to be inappropriate in terms of the amount of flesh it shows off, unless it's like raw flesh. Because to me, like with my boys, it's always been like, no, you can't be that scary. You're 8. You have to put down the psychotic clown mask. You have to put that back. You have to be, let's be Iron Man. Like that has just been my experience with my sons.
Right. Well, mine too. And actually, I shouldn't say that because my kids are still in the Star Wars phase. But I've said no to certain costumes that are just too expensive or just too elaborate. And again, that's my job. But there are limits on what boys can do too. But it is. And I'm not saying I'm surprised by the sexualization. We have seen this. I mean, parents deal with this. It's not just costumes. My goodness, I was looking back at an article when I was researching this article. I actually researched an article in 2009 on the suggestive clothing for young girls, and I'm talking tweens, like 11 and 12-year-olds. And up until a few years ago, a prominent clothing store where I know a lot of people shop, in the junior department on the website had a lingerie section. I mean, this was for little girls, and they had their, for underwear and undergarments, it was called lingerie. So parents deal with this all the time. It's not just Halloween. Whether it's these T-shirts with these totally inappropriate things along the bust line, or really low-slung jeans, or these, look, I sound like an old lady here. You're not getting out of the house without wearing that. If you're wearing that, but I mean, it really is, I think, tough for parents nowadays. You guys know that I'm a mom of 3 boys, so I don't deal with that. But I have a lot of friends who are really frustrated with the choices out there for clothes for girls.
It is a challenge in our house. For my daughter, she hates going shopping. Yeah. She doesn't, she just wants a T-shirt and jeans. That's just kind of what she wants. And it is.
And what I'm finding too now is that they've replaced, for a couple of years ago, they had really inappropriate things like bite me and I'm not good, I'm too pretty for homework or for school or something like really stupid, inappropriate sayings on the T-shirts. Now they've been replaced sometimes with like almost anti-boy comments or uber feminist comments. And so, again, you say, oh, my daughter wants a T-shirt. I wish these manufacturers would just say, take it down a notch. Not everything has to be a political statement. Not everything. It's just a T-shirt. So I think there's frustrations on both sides. You've either got things that just are like, not everything has to be a movement. We don't have to have, movement slogans on our T-shirts. And we don't have to have everything overly sexed.
You're going to walk through Target not long from now, and you're going to see a T-shirt, and it's just going to say, bleep you, Julie. And you're going to say, what? And it'll be, because they're listening, and they'll just throw it out there.
That's right.
Actually, that's maybe not a year from now. We'll give it 5 years before the bleep yous start appearing for sale in Target. I think they're already at Hot Topic. I'm pretty sure that they're. And I know there's this thing though. They've been at Spencer's since the late 1970s. So maybe they'll just stay there. Anyway, listen. I appreciate you coming on the program. It is always a pleasure. Do you know what you're going to be for Halloween this year?
I'm going to. Yes, we are. We are going as a whole Star Wars family. I'll be sure to send you a photo.
That
I'm going to be R2.
is awesome.
Oh,
Really?
Hold on, I'm going to be an R2, but of course I have to wear jeans and like a T-shirt underneath it because the only thing I could find was like this mini-me dress. It's the same for adult women. It's very hard to find a costume that isn't showing too much flesh. So
I understand. I'm going as sexy Ambrose Burnside this year, I believe. So.
Oh my God.
Union Army outfit with go-go boots. Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. All right, Julie. Listen, We'll talk to you soon. I appreciate you coming on the program. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me.
Julie Gunlock. You can find her writing all over the place, but just check out iwf.org. That's a pretty good repository for all of the links to her columns and such.